Hello everybody. So today I'm going to share with you how to find the aligned pricing for your offers. Okay, and so this is something that I've practiced a lot. I've helped a lot of people go from basically almost zero to four-figure months, five-figure months, even five-figure days. And I'm going to share with you my process of doing that. If you don't know me, I used to be a Buddhist monk and I turned my gifts into an online spiritual coaching business and then a marketing agency and then also a marketing and leadership coaching business. Okay, and so here we go. Let's get started here. So there are 9 prices that I want you to look at, and each one is like an estimate, and it also sort of indicates a range. There are like ranges in the mind of your prospects. All the people who could work with you, they have certain like target prices, like acupuncture points, and there's also like ranges in between them that you want to play within, because the range of the pricing will indicate a buying psychology, or in other words, a value psychology. People have a sense or a perception of value, and the pricing will trigger a perception of value, right? And so, for example, you can get a paper clip for a few cents, but Prada sells a paperclip for $400, right? You can get a bag, like a woman's purse, for $10 or $30, or you can get one that's very similar for hundreds or potentially even thousands of dollars, right? Now, when you hear the price of a thing, a $400 paperclip, a $500 purse, right? A $3 million car, right? That $3 million car isn't necessarily better than like a $50,000 car. They're not going to be that much different, but the pricing does something to your psychology, right? If you hear about a restaurant that sells every meal is $50, right, or every meal is $5, what does that do to your mind? There's something triggered. There's a perception of value that's triggered. And when we buy things, we look for ranges. And you want to know, it's kind of a strategic move to know what range you want to be in, because it communicates to the client what your status is and what you can help them do. And you want to sort of play, there's different ways to play this, right? If you're with me, you may not be the kind of person that is totally thinking like the highest luxury branding, because that isn't really what I've done. And so if you're watching this, you're probably the kind of person that wants to play somewhere between luxury and sort of like value. Value is where they can get a lot for their investment, right? And you're going to play somewhere in that, and potentially some of you are going to go to more of the economy side, whereas like it's priced. One of your strategic advantages in the market is that you have a lower price, and you want to figure out where you fall in this range, and the different prices that I'm going to give you will help your client perceive your value and make a buying decision. Because let's face it, right? Sales is all about helping your clients make an educated and inspired and empowered buying decision. And business comes down to sales, right? How many sales has your business made? That indicates how well your business is doing, pretty much. For a lot of us, for service-based businesses, pretty much the amount of sales that we make is a big indicator of how well our business is doing. The other main metric that we use is impact. So how much impact are you having? How much income do you have? And how easy is it? These are my 3 metrics that I use: impact, income, and ease, right? We want to have the highest amount of all 3. And that's what I'm going to help you do. And if you're a service-based business, you are the one working and delivering for your clients in a big way. And so you definitely need to make sure that you pick a model that is simple, that feels easy to you, and that if you price yourself too low, you end up doing a lot of work for less money. But if you price yourself higher, you end up doing less work and you make more money, but you can also have more impact. People who are willing to spend $1,000, or $3,000 or $5,000 on their development are going to get better results. Generally, they're more empowered, they're more quick moving, they have more energy behind them, they have more abundance to infuse into their actions. They take more action, right? They think better about themselves, and so they actually get better results than someone who's only willing to pay $10 or $30 or $100 for what they do. And so you kind of want to price yourself higher because it allows more impact, and it also allows more income for you, and it also allows a lot more ease. And when you have ease, then you can continue to take action that will help you get more impact and income. Whereas if, let's just say you get 10 clients and you charge them each $80, right? So now you made $800 and you have 10 clients. And let's just say for each client, you're supposed to give them, several one-to-ones each for just $80, right? Now your plate is full. It's not easy anymore. Maybe it was hard to acquire those 10 clients, and maybe the delivery is hard. And so you only made $800, not much income. Your impact is going to be limited because the amount of action people take when they only invest $80 is less than if they invested, $800 or $8,000. Okay? And so pricing will help you have more impact and income with ease. And you want to sort of find, for me, I think of it like a ladder, right? So I'm going to give you several options, and you want to find your place. It's like a stairway. You take one step on one level of pricing just to kind of get grounded and get your feet wet. And then you take another step and you have a higher level of pricing, and you kind of stabilize there. And then you take another step and you have a higher level of pricing and you stabilize there, and you just keep going up and up and up. That's pretty much how service businesses have to operate. And there's a bunch of factors. I'm going to give you 9 factors to consider when it comes to your pricing. But the main 3 factors are just impact, income, and ease. How much impact do you want to have? How much income do you want to have? How much ease do you want to have? And like I said, higher prices make it easier to have all 3. Okay, so let's get into it. Here are some ranges. I'm going to start with the 4 best prices, and then I'm going to go into if those are too high for you, maybe like the starter places. So I'm going to go with where you want to be, and then if that's enough, you can just end the video there. But if that feels too hard, you can keep watching the video, because then I'm going to go into like 4 or 5 prices that are like starting places. Okay. And so the best 4 prices are around $1,000, around $2,500, around $5,000, and around $10,000. Now, for some of you, obviously the next step would be around 25,000, and then the next step would be around 50, the next step would be around 100. And if you want that, wonderful. But in this video, I'm really gonna target the ones that I've done best. These are the ones that I've done best. These are the ones that my clients get the best results on. And so, eventually you can do 30 and 100K offers, but here, let's go for these ones. So around $1,000, somewhere around $1,000 is a perfect entry price. It's the perfect price even for someone who has never invested in the type of thing that you're offering before, right? If I have never kind of paid for a relationship coach, maybe like a men's relationship coach, or like a dating coach, or like maybe now that I'm married, maybe like a marriage coach, right? If I've never paid for that, and I really haven't explicitly, I've gotten help with that, but I haven't paid knowingly for that. If I was in the category of someone who's a first-time buyer of relationship coaching type help, right? I am still willing to spend if I'm very serious about a result, $1,000 is a perfect entry-level price, because it's not that serious of an amount of money that I would have to change my finances, right? People blow $1,000 on, a weekend sometimes. Like $1,000 isn't like a crazy amount of money. It's an initial investment in like a high ticket service space. Okay. If you don't believe me, please, on this one, take my word for it. Okay. Take my word for it. People are willing to spend $1,000 even if they never have invested in themselves before in this type of way. They are. They really are. And if they're serious about getting a result, if you price yourself too much less than that, they will overlook you, right? If I really have a burning need in my relationship, for example, and I come into contact with all these coaches, right? If there's things that are $100 or $300, I will probably start doubting if I can get a result at that level. Okay. And so that's why 1,000, even more, like because I've invested in myself so much, if someone pitched me on like a $2,500 thing or even like a $5,000 thing, I would be seriously interested. And I might even go for that because of my experience in investing in myself in other ways, right? There's a phrase in business, I guess, a buyer is a buyer is a buyer, right? Someone who buys personal development coaching is going to keep buying personal development coaching. People who buy cars are going to buy more cars, right? If you look at like Ferraris, like people who own Ferraris own many Ferraris, right? People who own sports cars own a bunch of sports cars. People who own, whatever. Like think about all the things that there are to own. Someone who owns them, in many cases, keeps buying it. We keep buying. If I go to Starbucks and buy coffee, I probably go to Starbucks a lot to buy coffee, right? And so people who buy personal growth keep buying personal growth. And if you price yourself at a level that they would resonate with, it's actually a lot easier to make sales because you're talking to someone with very little buying resistance. I'm a person who does not have a lot of buying resistance. And if you want to get good at sales, it's actually important that you reduce your own buying resistance. It's actually interesting that the best buyers of things are actually the best salespeople. If you're struggling with sales, you may not be a good enough buyer yet. You may not be an empowered buyer, right? This isn't actually like a psychological trick. There's, it's very difficult to empower someone into a decision that we wouldn't make ourselves, okay? And so if you are used to having an abundance mindset and to investing in the things that are important to you, and if you see something and you want it and you just allow your energy to just go into it, right? And you have less resistance, very little resistance to making empowering choices with your energy, with your money, towards your goals. That is the type of energy that makes it easy to attract people on the same wavelength. First of all, you're going to end up attracting people who have the same wavelength as you. Like we know this, right? Don't you guys know this? Like attracts like. The law of attraction, right? People who are sometimes, struggling with money the most believe in the law of attraction and they don't apply it in this way, right? You're going to end up talking to someone who's similar to you in your levels of abundance and your levels of empowered decision making and your levels of buying resistance. And so we have to learn to not be like, first of all, not just buying resistance, but like sales resistance, right? I used to be so resistant to being sold something. Right? If I felt someone was going to sell me something, I would like freeze up, my heart would close, I would get all shaky, and I'd want to bounce. Okay? Now, if I'm trying to hold space on a sales call, but like this, the topic of sales makes my heart close, it makes me have resistance, and it makes me want to run away, how good am I going to be on a sales call? Probably I won't even schedule them very often. And when I do, I'll probably look for any reason to just be like, okay, no problem. Here, I'll just help you for free, or, nice to meet you, right? And so we have to work on our resistance to being sold. We have to reduce our resistance to being sold so that there's energy. Energy gets transferred when we're sold. If someone's transferring energy and moving energy around during a sales process and we have resistance to that, we will not be able to do the same thing as a salesperson, right? And so it's not the case that simply buying expensive stuff automatically makes us able to sell expensive stuff. It's not just that, but there is a blockage that there's a potential blockage that we can work on in ourself as a buyer, okay? And so we want to reduce our resistance to being sold, and we also want to reduce our resistance to buying things that are important to us. As we put our energy into places and just buy things that are important to us, we are gonna find it easy to hold space for others to do the same. And even though this video is about pricing is one of the most powerful, techniques or like levers, like elements that we can include in a sales strategy or a sales conversation. Like pricing makes a difference in sales. Pricing is a sales, lever. They call it. It's a lever, or it's an element that influences sales. And so this is actually a video about sales. Like a lot of you, like imagine you just made 3 or 4 sales a week. Imagine you made 25 sales a month. Where would your business be? Where would your business be, right? If you're priced too low, you don't even want to make 25 sales a month because it becomes too hard and you just won't make enough money. And so imagine that you were to make 25 sales, a month or 10 sales a week. Where would you want your pricing to be? Where would you want your pricing to be where that would still feel good to you? Now, whatever pricing you just thought of, imagine you only made 4 sales a month. Would you still be able to live on that? Those are the 2 calculations you need. So if you made 25 sales in a month, would you be okay? Like would you be too stretched in the delivery, right? Let's just say it's $1,000. You're like, okay, maybe it's $1,000 is my price, right? If you make 25 sales a month, hey, you just had a 25K month. Very, very cool. But how many sessions are you, what are you offering for that $1,000? And could you handle 25 new clients in a month without completely getting crushed in your effort to deliver? And if you can say, actually, I think I would do okay. Like it would be a lot. I'd have to ramp it up, but I'd handle it. Like maybe not every single month, but like I could do it like once, right? Then, okay, let's go on to the next question, which is at that price point, if you only got 3 or 4 clients, would you still be able to live on that right now? And if the answer is yes, then go with it. Because I've learned that if my strategy includes the projection that I'm going to get an enormous number of clients in a month, I very often am disappointed, right? Sometimes I'm like, well, I'll just price it lower and then I'll just get a bunch of clients. Well, let me know when you figure that out. But what I've found is that if you do a very high effort launch, yeah, you can get 10 clients, right? And if you do a just like casual growth of your business without launches, for me, getting 4 new clients in a month is pretty good, right? And so what is the pricing that would make that a home run for you? And so if you're like, okay, well, if I only got 4 clients in a month, I'd really want my price to be more like around $2,000 or $2,500 or even $3,000. Well, okay, then choose that. Then choose that. But if you did get 10 clients in the month at that price, would you be able to handle the delivery of that? And if the answer is yes, then great. You have a good combo there. So this is part of how I think through it. Okay, so the first pricing that I mentioned is $1,000. The second one is $2,500. The third one is $5,000, and the fourth one is $10,000. And you want to like feel it out. And for me, I like to give myself a stepping stones, right? I'm a clear, logical person. I'm a practical person, and I also understand that I have a certain capacity for receiving. When I'm on a sales call or on a workshop doing a live pitch, I have a personal capacity for receiving. And if my pricing will sort of command a higher level investment than I'm able to receive at any one time, then it doesn't matter how good I do on the call or how aligned it is, I will find a way to sabotage it and I won't be able to receive it. And so I personally believe that my capacity, I like to be kind to my capacity. I don't want to like stretch my capacity. I don't want to hurt myself as I grow my capacity. And so I'd like to be a little bit more gentle and comfortable with myself. And so that's why I price things at a level that I'm fairly confident I can receive it at, right? And if I do take little risks in like pricing things higher, then I'm not sure if I can receive it. I'll generally have two prices, one for one thing, one for another thing. And that way, at least I know I won't sabotage it, but I'll also give myself the chance to make the sale at a higher price. That's how I do it. And as I start receiving abundance, my capacity sort of grows a little bit. I sort of relax. I start to like maybe go out and treat myself to like abundant meals, and maybe I sleep better, and maybe I take better care of myself, and maybe I think better thoughts, and maybe then I vibrate a little higher frequency and I attract people who are kind of at that frequency. And then that allows me to like charge my price a little bit higher, because now I'm at a higher level. And now when I hear that number 2,500, now I don't freak out. Now I'm like, oh, that's comfortable, right? I just made 3 $1,000 sales in the last week or two. And so now I think I could charge 2,500 without hurting myself, because I literally just took that in. I took it in 3 chunks, but now I think I could take it in 1 chunk, right? And then I get that. Maybe I get a $3,000 sale, or a $2,500 or a $3,500 sale, something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, that felt good. And then what I do is I don't stop there. I keep going. And now I think, okay, that's my price. And I keep that going, and I try to get several of those. If I got 3 or 4 sales at that price, now I'm ready. Now I'm like, hey, I just took in $10,000. I could probably charge, and maybe I charge $9,000 for my offer now, right? Because I literally just took in that same abundance. Now I'm like, okay, I think I could do that in 1 shot. Rather than in 4 shots, I'll do it in 1. And I charge that price. And then when I get it and I keep going, then I'm like, okay, I just took in 30, 40,000. Maybe I could have a $30,000 or a $25,000 offer. Do you see how, that's how I do it, right? So I give myself a level, I have success with it several times at that level, and then that allows me to take a step up. And then once I have success, I repeat success, and then I can step up again. That's how I go up the ladder, right? It's a very kind and gentle thing. I'm not personally a professional in like the whole abundance capacity work. And I actually think a lot of people gaslight themselves, and I don't know, like I know my own limitations. And so I choose the practical way of doing it that works for me, knowing that I have a limited capacity, and I work with it. If someone watching this is like a freaking expert, or maybe you have access to an expert in abundance capacity work, and you can open up and expand your abundance capacity without, just energetically, right? And you decide to like go for the higher prices faster. Hey, more power to you. We have to use all the tools in our toolbox, and that's not really one that I have mastery of. And so I do it for myself in a practical way that works for me. Okay, but these are the steps. Now, I take the role of like the grandpa, and as your grandfather, I'm gonna tell you, hey kids, 1 step at a time, don't run up the steps, but you don't have to listen. I'm the grandpa, right? If you're like the kid and you're like the energetic kid who believes in themselves and you're empowered and whatever, if you're expanded, You can skip steps. You do not have to just go one step or the other step. You don't have to do that. You can skip them. But the steps are still there. Like, skipping them doesn't make them not there. It doesn't negate the fact that the steps are there. The steps are there, right? The steps are there because people, when they buy, have certain categories of pricing that they feel comfortable with, right? Some people are just not comfortable spending more than $5,000 on themselves. I've been like that. Like, I heard about a $25,000 mastermind and I'm like, how the hell would someone buy this? How could you possibly invest $25,000 in a mastermind? I don't get that, right? Then I hear about like $1,000 offers. I'm like, now you're just being silly. $100,000? Like, what the hell? Is this like a yacht club? Like, are you actually doing anything? Or are you guys just meeting because you like being around wealthy people? Like, what the hell is happening, right? And so I would like to spend more like $1,000, $500, $2,000, $2,500. I was comfortable spending that, right? But I wasn't comfortable if it got too high. Then I started realizing, okay, if I want like a really good program, I need to spend 10K. At some point, the market changed, and like all the best programs became $10,000. And at that point, I was like, I want this program, so whatever it costs, I'm in. And then I was able to charge $10,000 right after that, actually. And not just because I invested. I invested and I followed through and I learned and I took action and I implemented what I learned and I took steps and I tweaked it until I got it right. And I did all the mindset work required and action. And then I started having $10,000 days, okay? But just investing by itself, it might help you to remove obstacles and friction and resistance, but that's not the only reason to invest. Like, you should invest because you want the value inside the program and you want to learn certain skills, or you want to have access to certain energy, or you want whatever, right? Just to be clear, like, some people, get it confused. You don't have to be confused. Invest in things that you value, right? And the act of investing will ultimately lower your own resistance to buying and being sold and investing and moving your own energy towards your goals, which will then unlock, if there was a blockage, it will help to unlock that blockage so that now you can hold better space and you can empower people to make really great buying decisions in your presence. Plus, you'll actually attract people who are ready for those bigger investments because you'll be on an energetic match with them. It's like magic. It's honestly like magic. And a lot of us, we say we believe in magic, but then when I talk about this, we may have a doubt. Magic is just science that we don't understand. And I'm trying to explain the science so that you're like, that ultimately does make sense. It does make sense. It's real. Okay. And so I think I explained the different pricing. Now I'm going to go into like the 9 different considerations that you can make to figure out your pricing. Okay. So the first one is the size of the problem. The size of the problem of the buyer, right? What size problem are you solving? A lot of us who come from the world of doing one-time sessions. If you're watching this and you are very used to doing one-off sessions with people, maybe you were a therapist, maybe you're like a healer and you've done one-time energy work sessions or something like this, right? If you're used to just doing one-off sessions, that's perfect because that's the kind of person who I've been able to help the most ever. So if that's you, like, you are in the right place because that's who I usually have the best results with. If you are not currently able to even sell one-time sessions, you have to watch the end of this video and I'm going to give you advice. But I want to start with the people who are already comfortable selling one-time sessions, whether you're charging $100 or $300 or $50 or $500 per session, whatever that is that you're charging, but you're able to like do that, without too much difficulty, you're the kind of person who's ready for this advice, okay? The size of the problem. When you sell a one-time session, what size problem are you solving? You're solving a problem that can be solved within one session, right? How many problems can you actually solve in one session? You know, if the session is an hour, you're not actually working the whole hour because you gotta like go in, you gotta come out. There's like, you cannot make the beginning or the ending of the session very intense. The middle might be intense, but you have to ease your way in, you have to ease your way out. And so there's only like a 35-minute chunk that you're actually doing the main work in one session, right? It's something like that. That's not a big problem. Like, is the problem that they just want to feel better? Is that the problem? Is the problem they just like, you know, it's like short-term. Short-term small problems are what you can solve one time. And I come from the world of therapy. I was training to be a therapist. My mom is a professional therapist, right? Among other things that she's done. That's what she's currently doing. And that's what she spent a long time doing. And I received enormous training in being a therapist. I was going to be a therapist. I come from that world. I know the trick. These therapists have a trick. The trick is they want you to like them so that you come back to the next session. There's a hook. Every single session has you're trying to like drag them on to one more, to one more, to one more. And you can't tell me otherwise because I know it, I've seen it. I know that's a fact. There's a little bit of either unconscious or conscious motivation of that therapist or single session facilitator to get you to come back for one more. And yes, it's good for them to come back. That's important. But it's not good to have to leave every session with them kind of liking you or thinking that, you know, feeling good so that they come back. If you challenge them too hard, oh, maybe they won't come back. And then, I really could help them. I could help them. I really want to help them, right? And I like having clients. And so I'm not going to challenge them too hard because I want them to come back. And that way it just takes so long because you never get to dig deep. You're always digging and coming out, right? It's actually unethical, actually, right? And so it's better to have a free consultation with someone or to somehow give a presentation where you explain and diagnose like a scope. You need to outline a scope of work that is bigger than what can be accomplished in one session. This is more ethical. It takes a higher level of communication ability and it takes a higher level of moral values, but you'll also impact more, you'll make more, and it'll be easier, okay? And so one of the only differences and changes that you guys really need to make to get to that $1,000 level, you know, per sale, is you just need to outline the scope of work before you start working and get them to agree to it. And that scope of work should be more than what you could cover in just a couple sessions. It should take you, 6 sessions or 10 sessions, or it should take you 3 months of group coaching plus 1 session a month or whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the scope of work, the scope of the problem, the size of the problem that you bite off is just bigger. And maybe they've never thought about it like this before. Maybe when they have gone to get a consultation from someone, they're just like, oh yeah, you have this thing. Okay, I can help. Schedule your first session tomorrow. And then there's no true outlining of a large scope of work. It's just like, oh yeah, you have this type of thing. I can help you. Just come and we'll see how far we get. That's not ethical because you end up leading the person on. It's better to just help them to diagnose a deeper problem. If they come to you, generally, people are aware of their symptoms, meaning they're aware of a certain level of a problem that they can understand, right? They're aware of the tip of the iceberg. They don't know the underlying problem, but they know there's symptoms. There's pain and there's desire, and it feels very much temporary, and it feels like it's not including a deep understanding of where it's coming from. Okay? And so what you need to do is, before you get into the solutions, you need to help them to diagnose what is the true underlying problem. There are patterns here that are deeper than what your pain is telling you. Your pain might be screaming at you for something, or your desires might be very loud that you want a certain thing, but you haven't actually understood the underlying causes, right? And so if you can help them to see that there's actually a whole iceberg underneath the surface of the water, and that you want to address that, when they actually realize that this is true, first of all, they're going to trust you so much more. They're going to believe you so much more. They're going to realize that you're an expert in this thing and that they're not. And then they transfer their expertise to you, and now they will believe you. And now when you prescribe a solution, it's going to take 6 sessions. It's going to take at least 6 sessions. It's going to take at least 10 sessions. It's going to take 3 to 6 months of group coaching, plus these sessions, plus you get access to me. That's how we can solve it, because we got to go over these steps, right? Now they're going to believe you, and they have a choice now. Now they have a choice. Do I want to solve this full thing? Now that you've opened their eyes, they're not going to be interested in single sessions anymore. When they go to any other person who's like, yeah, I'll offer you a single session here and there, they're going to be like, yeah, but do you even know what's wrong? Like, what if that just continues to scratch the surface? I want to get to the underlying stuff. Now you've blown their mind. Now they're going to go to you because they actually trust you more, because you took the time to show them the true problem. And you're giving them a choice. Do you want to solve this whole thing or not? Right? Do you want to do it with me or not? Right? And now that's a much more ethical sales process. First of all, it's higher value because you're teaching them something that they didn't know. And it's more ethical because instead of stringing them along, you're actually allowing them to sign up for an entire chunk that is a non-negotiable kind of piece of work. Okay? That's the key. And when you outline that scope of work and you figure out how much it's going to take, then you put a price tag on the whole thing. But the price is now, instead of being measured against your time, the price is now measured against the result. Because if you actually do this entire scope of work, there is a higher likelihood of a result on the other side. And you can tell them, hey, it may not be easy, right? This is deep work. It may be uncomfortable. That's why I require that my clients commit up front to the whole thing. It might get uncomfortable, and I don't want you wiggling out. I don't want you waffling. I don't want you saying, oh, this isn't for me. Like, I don't do refunds. I don't do half completed contracts. Like, this is a full chunk, and we're going to have a contract, and there's no way to get out of it. This is the work that we're going to do, right? That's it. That's more ethical, because now they get to decide. You're getting their consent. And when they decide, that they're deciding on a much bigger problem to solve and a much bigger process to undergo. And their investment will be able to follow that bigger decision. Does that make sense? That's the reason that a lot of people don't ever get to make the jump to the $1,000 and $3,000 and $5,000 offers. It's because they don't take the time to actually outline a larger scope of work to solve a bigger problem and to give the client the actual choice to go for all or nothing. It's an all or nothing thing. And you might get scared, like, oh, what if I lose sales? Yeah, you're gonna lose sales. You're gonna lose sales from all the people who can't make a big decision. You're gonna lose sales from people who get scared, or from people who cannot invest that amount of money. Yes, you're going to lose sales. And if you're not willing to do that, that scarcity mindset is what keeps you scraping the bottom of the barrel, looking for the $100 clients and the $300 clients and the $33 offers and the $77 offers. That's scraping the bottom of the barrel. We have to upgrade. We have to upgrade ourselves. And sorry for the background noise. There's a truck going by. I left the window open, my fault. But let's be clear. This is a scarcity problem on the part of on you. Someone who's like, no, I can't I don't want to make that jump because I might lose clients. Yes, you will lose clients. Let me tell you the truth, like the story, right? I had a client named Fiona. Okay, she's a hypnotherapist, right? Also like a meditation teacher, very skilled, right? She had a decent amount of clients who were paying her like 80 pounds. She lives in England, right? 80 pounds, roughly like $120 or something, right? I think that the pricing was around there somewhere, right? Somewhere around 80 to $100, let's just say, per session, okay? Decent, not horrible, right? You can't really live on that though. And yeah, you just can't live on that. You're always like, she had repeat clients, but it's just not enough to live on, right? You just can't. And then I had this talk with her, and she got into abundance consciousness, and she decided to price herself somewhere around, it ended up being around 1,200 USD, 1,200 US dollars. It was around there, right? I think it was 800 pounds, 1,200 US dollars, something like that, okay? And she realized, oh my God, she like made a decision. This is my minimum from now on. I am no longer doing single sessions. I'm only doing this package as my minimum, okay? She had a higher thing too. And she had a difficult conversation. She messaged all her clients that are used to coming to her for this one-time session, 80 bucks, 100 bucks, whatever. And a lot of people were disappointed. Some people were offended, and some people said yes. She had a lot of emotions going through that process. It was uncomfortable for her. She didn't like it, but she knew she had to do it. And she is very, very, very mentally strong. And she talked herself into it, and she followed through, and she did it. And guess what? She started making many of these $1,200 sales, many of them. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a lot. She made, mid or high four-figure months doing this. And it completely changed her business because now she's making good money, and that allowed her to like take the step up and even do higher level sales at around, $5,000, $6,000. And she started making sales at that level too, including having a 20K month while I was helping her. And so these types of results come to brave people who have abundance mindset, who can make empowered choices, not those that are too scared to take that next step, right? These are the stepping stones. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, but I am scared, keep watching to the end because I'm going to go over stuff for you at the very end. But now I'm going over the bulk of it because I think a lot of you watching this are ready for the $1,000 offer, the $2,500 offer, the 5K offer, the 10K offer. Okay, and these are just roundabouts, somewhere in that range. Okay, so you bite off a bigger problem to solve, you outline the scope of work, is related to the diagnosis of the root cause, the iceberg underneath the surface of the water, and you create a plan to solve it, and you tell them the amount of many sessions and so on that they're going to need to solve it with. You give them a little bit extra so that they feel good about it, and you price it similar to the result that you're promising. When you have a higher level thing where you really address root causes, you can actually start marketing towards results because it's a lot more likely that you can lead someone to a result if you're working with them in a commitment basis for several months, offering them at least as much, if not more, than what they actually need to get there, right? And this is going to take some tweaking. You're not going to get your package right the first time you craft it, but you got to get something that's a working start and just go sell it and make tweaks along the way. And at some point you're going to nail it and you're going to be like, wow, this price point and this offer, it sells like hotcakes. People love it and they actually get the results that I'm promising. Everyone's satisfied. Boom. I get testimonials, I'm making money, my life is easy. Win, win, win. Okay? And so size of problem, number one. Number two, this one I hate to even say it, but I'm going to say it. The need or urgency. So there's two types of need or urgency to make the sale. There's yours and there's theirs, okay? So the higher your need for the money or your urgency to get the money, the lower your price is going to have to be, unfortunately. And the less bargaining power, the less negotiation power, the less leverage that you have, right? Now, if they have a higher need or urgency, they're going to be willing to spend more on the same thing. Think of it as someone selling a house. If you've ever sold a house before, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't have to sell, right? If you're buying a new house and you have to sell your current house before you buy the new house, and because of timing, you just really want that new house within a certain time frame, you become very motivated to sell your house, which means that when people understand that, and any good realtor or buyer is going to ask the question, why are you selling? All good buyers, if you're going to buy something, you should always find out, why are you selling this? Why are you selling this car? Why are you selling this house? Why are you selling this watch? Why are you selling me your PlayStation or your snowboard or your whatever, right? What's the motivation for selling, right? And so if there's a need or urgency on the side of the seller, the buyer can then get in at a lower price because now the seller has this need, they have to sell it now, and they're going to be willing to take a worse offer because they kind of have to, because their need or urgency forces them to get something because that money needs to go somewhere else potentially. Okay, now think of it like a person who's got 10 million in the bank and they're selling these 3 houses or whatever. They don't have anything they need to buy right now. And even if they did, they have money coming in from other sources. There's zero need for them to sell. They can sit on that. They don't have to do anything. And the price of the houses kind of just goes up over time. And so they can just kind of sit back and relax, and someone can come in with these lowball offers and they're just like, I have no need to bite on any of these offers. And the only time that they will sell is when the offer is good. And usually that's going to come in if there's a high need or urgency on the buyer side. Maybe the buyer has a need where they just need this thing now. Well, now the buyer is going to have to pay more and they don't have any need, so they will, they don't have to take anything but like the right offer that they actually want. So think of it like that. The more need or urgency that you bring to a sales conversation, the worse the deal that you're going to get. Okay? You're going to get less, especially if they know that. If they know that, or if your energy kind of tells them that, if your energy is kind of wobbly and desperate, like people will know many times, not all the time, but people can pick up on that, and it can influence us to kind of put our price at less. If you need $1,000 today, you might sell something that is worth $10,000 for $1,000 right now, right? But if you had no need and you really knew it was worth $10,000, you'd probably charge at least $3,000, $5,000, $7,000, dollars for that thing. Does that make sense? And so we need to work on our own need and urgency, which for me, how does that translate practically? Like there's the inner work side of that. So the inner work side of reducing your own need and urgency involves getting out of survival mode and getting into like a thrival mode where you're connected to your mission, your purpose, your vision, and you feel empowered. You have divine blessings coming in. You're centered, you're calm, your nervous system is regulated. That's the inner work that you need to do. And you need to like teach yourself. You need to talk to yourself. You need to remove any beliefs that are catastrophic, right? We need to, like, any belief that's like, have you ever heard the phrase, anxiety is fantasy with a bad ending? Worry, anxiety, fear, these are fantasy with a bad ending, okay? And what does that mean? It means there's a belief within it of catastrophe. There's a belief of catastrophizing, seeing something small and thinking it means something big that is negative is going to happen. So we can do the belief work around this. We can do the energetic releasing work, the acceptance work, the nervous system work. Yes, do that. 100%. I believe that goes without saying, but maybe because I was a monk and I meditated a lot and I know how to do that work. That's the easy part. That's the easy part. Maybe not for everyone, but we need to learn how to regulate our nervous system and how to work with our own fear. We must learn that. If you don't have that, you have to prioritize that. There's nothing more important in your life than figuring that out. Okay? And what that means for me is doing any calming nervous system work combined with doing work that shifts beliefs, because the fear is held in place by a belief, but you cannot access that belief if your mind is shaky. You have to calm your mind and energy, and then the beliefs that are negative, that are holding the fear in place, are clear, and you can just reverse them and flip them. And generally it's like you just flip them, and then it turns into excitement, and then you're like, oh yeah, I love this, right? And so yes, do the inner work, but also there's a practical side of it too, which is get out of survival mode in terms of like get some income in, get enough money in where you can breathe again. Like if learning higher level strategy that I can teach you is so much because you're in survival mode, get out of survival mode and may as well make it comfortable for yourself by like making a couple sales. Like you don't have to implement a beautiful, elegant marketing strategy to get sales. You just need to outreach. Just talk to people, reach out to people, make content and post about it, make stories about it, DM people, text people, email people. Use every channel that you have. Go in person and talk to people. Create meetings with people. Like reach out and sell something at some price where it will help you. Do that a few times so that you have enough money in the bank to make it alive for the next few weeks or months or whatever that number is for you. Then you can relax even more. Now, the nervous system work kind of comes first, but then you can kind of do that. And then when you feel comfortable, then you can start taking a little bit more risks, right? You can start doing the 1K, the 2,500, the 5K offers, okay? If you've never done them before. If you're comfortable already doing offers at that price, then you just go right to that, right? You go right to that number and you just start selling that number. But yeah, reducing your need and urgency in those two ways. And the other side of it is you want to learn to perceive any need or urgency in terms of the buyer. And you might even want to specifically attract buyers who are in some sort of state of need or urgency, right? If someone's in a state of need around something, you don't have to be that good at sales. They're going to want to buy it because they have a need, right? If somebody hasn't drinking water in 2 days, you don't have to be good at selling water. If you have water and they can see that it's water, they'll literally spend anything they have to get it, right? You could price that water at $10 for a little bottle and they would buy it. It wasn't because you were good at sales. It's because they had a strong need and you were available, right? And so if you can get into a market that has a strong need or urgency. Now, the other side of strong need and urgency is when someone's like a high performer and they just have these big, lofty, hairy, ambitious goals. And they're just like really into these goals, right? Sometimes there's like an urgency. It's not based on like physical need, but it's more based on like maybe ego need or but they really want to ripen their potential. They know they can, and there's a need for them to do it now. There's an urgency because they move quickly. This kind of person too will buy big things without thinking that much. As long as you're available and it looks like you can help, their own motivation of need and urgency towards the pleasure, not away from pain, but towards pleasure, is what will get them to invest big amounts without you even being good at sales, okay? And if you are the only solution available to them, that makes it a no-brainer. If there are other solutions available, then you have to appear different or better than those other solutions, and that's where marketing can come in. Marketing is what helps you to appear different or better than the other options that are available. Different, better, for me. That's the most important one. Different, better, for me. You want to be different, you want to be better, and you want to be for me, for that person. Niche yourself. My first program was called Lightworkers Legacy. I wasn't a business coach. I was a business coach for lightworkers, right? It was different, better. It was for, I could show them how it's different, better, but I mostly said, this is for you. And then the light workers didn't have to think that much. They were like, okay, I want this. Of course, I'm going to join a program about light workers' legacy if I'm a light worker and I want a legacy. Like, it was easy because I made it exclusive. I made it for them. And so that means I didn't have to be that good at sales to get the light workers to buy, because I marketed it properly by saying different, better, but especially for you, for me, for them. Okay, and so you not only, marketing is about maybe positioning yourself in a market of people who already have a strong need or urgency, whether it's away from pain or towards pleasure. But sales is all about learning to kind of perceive any other need or urgency that they have personally and kind of stoking it out, right? A salesperson knows how to sort of, talk to someone to really mirror and highlight and bring out, pull the thread of their needs, of any urgency. Because if they can really grab a hold of that motivation and get a sense of it, that motivation will reduce buying friction. It will increase their buying momentum. It will make it easier for them to move forward. You don't even have to be perfect in your pricing, in your offer, in your presentation. You can mess up your words a little bit. You can kind of suck at sales. But if you help to bring out that need and urgency before you get into any of the solutions, you have enormous momentum in your favor coming towards you. And then you can kind of do your part and just not mess it up. The art of not fucking it up, they call it at that point. And you just kind of guide them towards your thing, and then boom, as long as they can do it, they will do it. They'll genuinely do it. Okay, and so that is need and urgency. That's number 2. Number 3 is demonstration of results, right? This will influence your pricing. If you're brand new, you may not be able to, you may know that you can help somebody, but you may not be able to demonstrate that you can help them that much, right? You might not be able to demonstrate, look at all my case studies, look at all my results. Here, listen to this story of all my clients. Here's screenshots and videos of them talking about how much I help them. If you have that, you can price higher because the perception of value will be there. Right now, there's 2 different types of value. There's actual value and there's perceived value. People do not buy on actual value, they buy on perceived value. And so if your actual value is up here, but you're just getting started, it's going to be hard to get people to perceive that. You have to show some results. You have to show some case studies and documented, results. And so by doing that and by telling stories of my client did this, my client did this, I personally was able to do this, my client did this, those stories and those screenshots of testimonials and videos will then build the perceived value as close as you possibly can to the actual value, and then you can price it as close to the actual value as you possibly can. Otherwise, you have to price it around perceived value. People buy based on perceived value, not actual value. And so if you aren't able to sell at prices that you like, it's because you're not good at building perceived value, period, right? A good communicator builds perceived value. Your branding can build perceived value. The level of your marketing, how professional it looks, can build perceived value. Your stories are the number one way of building perceived value while you're talking. Anything that you can say, a story is the highest level of ability or tool to build perceived value. The highest, right? And now, on the other side, there is documentation, right? This is something that you don't say, but you just show. You can show screenshots of people who loved working with you. You can show videos of them talking about how much they loved it and what the results were. You can show screenshots of them literally talking about their results. You can showcase your own results, right? You can show statistics and numbers potentially, right? This is just a demonstration of value, and it builds perceived value in the mind, and you price it according to perceived value and not actual value, right? Now, some people are better at communicating value than they are at delivering value, and they actually price it higher than the actual value because the perceived value is like up here and the actual value is down here, and that's how you get people who are not satisfied. Okay, and so yes, you want to be a good communicator, but you also want to price it. You also want the actual value to be at least as high as the perceived value, right? And that's a whole different problem, but most of you don't have that problem. Okay, demonstration of results. Okay, number 4 was communication of value. I just covered that. Communication of value is stories, is branding, is exclusivity, right? So one way, this is so interesting. One way of communicating value is by manipulating supply and demand. Okay? So by demonstrating that there's a high demand for you and or that there's a low supply. If supply is higher than demand, not good, right? But if demand is higher than supply, that's good. You always want demand to be higher than supply. Think of the Apple Store at Christmas time. Like literally think about it, right? Think about it, right? I heard a comedian, I'm gonna tell a quick joke, talking about, I don't know if he's talking about Donald Trump or he's talking about somebody who's like, when you listen to this person, you're like, where's the line? Like, what line is he gonna cross? Like, he just crossed that line, he crossed that line. Eventually you realize that there's no line, right? He's like, it's kind of like the Windows store at Christmas time. You just realize that there is no line. There's no line, right? You don't want to be the Windows store at Christmas time with no line outside of it. You want to be the Apple store at not just Christmas time, but anytime they open a new product, right? Anytime the iPhone 16, someone just paid, I think, at least $1,000 to like replace someone who is standing online at the store. He was one of the first people online. He sold his spot for like $1,000 or $2,000. That's what you want. Like, imagine your clients, imagine there's a waiting list and the people were willing to pay more just to get access to you faster, right? That's what you want. Now, why though? Do you think that it builds perceived value? Is that a way to communicate value, right? If it's clear that there's a wait list for you and that you have a lower ability to work with clients, then you have demand for people coming in. What happens to your pricing then, right? What happens to people who didn't even know you? People who don't even know you, but they see a high demand to work with you and that there's a wait list, automatically they're like, there's gotta be something here, right? What's here? But if they see the opposite, that you're always doing posts and offers and that there's no demand, then you're like, oh, supply is higher than demand. They must suck, right? They must not be that good. This is a way to communicate value. And you can kind of manipulate this. You can work with this. There's levers to work with this by, first of all, limiting supply. You want to start limiting supply. You always want your supply to be lower than the demand. And so if you're not sure about the demand for something, open up just 1 or 2 spots for something. Right? Now, it looks like there's an exclusive amount of supply, and if the demand happens to be higher, boom, you just had a win, right? If you make a post and you get a ton of people commenting that they want the thing, and then someone else sees that, they don't even know you, they don't even know what you're talking about in the post, they're gonna comment too, yeah, I want it, because they're like, it's gotta be good. There's so many people commenting, it must be good. That's something that I've done. They call it the table run. I kind of learned this from Russell Brunson, right? He sells from stage, or from, his real background really was like selling from stage. He would go around to conferences and sell his own products and stuff from stage, right? And they create something called a table rush. They create a table rush. The table rush is where in the back, they don't make any offers for the first, 40 minutes of their presentation. And then the last 20 minutes, they make an offer. And so there's no sale, there's no movement happening, but all of a sudden they start making the offer and they start telling people what it's all about, and they send them to the back of the room. Go, if you want this, go to the back of the room, fill out the form, and and go now, right? And so people start like popping up in the audience because they're sold and they want the thing. So they go and they rush to the back. And if it looks like there's a limited time to get, or a limited number of spots, or like there's a couple of bonuses that are only available for the first 20 people or 10 people or something. Now it creates this thing where people pop up and they go run to the back, and people start seeing people pop up and run to the back, and they're like, oh my God, what do I do? I kind of want this too. And they pop up and go run to the back, and then more people go. It's called the table rush. They rush the table, and the table's where they have the order forms, and people sign the form, and that's how they make their sales. Okay. But it gives the illusion of enormous value. And imagine being in the audience, being on the fence. A lot of people are on the fence. Most buyers are on the fence. Some people are a definite no, some people are a definite yes. But there's some people who are on the fence. And if they start seeing other people popping up and go run to get that thing, the social ease of them going for it will kind of make it like the social momentum. There's like social gravity, there's social magnetism that will pull them into doing it. They want to do it, but they're on the fence, and they see other people doing it. It just makes it so easy and comfortable to go do it that a lot of times they will. However, if no one else is moving, if there aren't people running to the back and they're on the fence, it's just a little bit easier to stay on the fence sometimes. The fear might keep them on the fence because they will comply. People are very socially compliant. They will comply socially with what everyone else is doing. Everyone's sitting in their seat, they're gonna feel a lot of momentum to just stay in their seat. But if a lot of people are running up, they're gonna feel more momentum to just like go up. They're not gonna be judged. They're not gonna be criticized or shamed. They're not gonna be considered a fool. They're not gonna be looked at as about making a mistake. They're not going to be going against the norm. They're going with the energized norm. Like a good speaker or salesperson will make it look like the only logical thing for an empowered, aligned person to do. They'll like paint the identity of the buyer as something attractive, and they paint the identity of the person who sits on the sidelines as unattractive. And so because of that, it actually becomes the cool kid thing to do to go buy. And then they go buy, right? Then it's like so easy. If they're on the fence, it becomes easy to go. Whereas if no one's doing it, if they're on the fence, it's easy to stay. And so that's called a table rush. And online, sometimes they call it a virtual table rush, a virtual table rush. You want to create a virtual table rush. Whenever you make an offer, you want it to look like the cool kid thing to do to get your thing, and you want to make it easy. If it's not free, you don't want to mention the price at all. If it is free, you want to mention that it's free, and that will get the most amount of people saying yes, 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 and it creates this virtual table rush where everyone sees it, and they're like, wow, I didn't even know who this guy is or who this girl is. I don't even know what they're talking about. I don't even know if I have that problem they're talking about. I didn't even realize I wanted the solution until now, but everyone else is doing it. Like, hey, why not? Like, it must be good. I don't want to miss out. And so the people who are on the fence will jump. Whereas if there's crickets on your post and there's people on the fence, even if they're like, you know what, I actually do want that thing. You know what, they are speaking to me. Oh my God, I do want that result. They're talking about me. Like, oh, I really do want this thing, and I know that guy or girl. Like, I think I would like to work with them. But they're on the fence. Feel so easy to stay on that fence and to not go. And they might start having doubts. Why is no one else saying yes to this? Feels so good. Like, maybe it's not. Maybe there's a trick. Maybe it's not that good. Why is no one else doing it? Like, then they start to have doubts. And then they're gonna stay behind. Even when they wanted to do it, even when maybe it was the right thing. Okay, so you want to create a perception of value. You want to communicate value. And one of the ways of doing that is creating the virtual table rush, which is like, I'm using the word manipulate. don't think of that in a bad way. You're just like using the levers of supply and demand by you're artificially decreasing supply, and it's not artificial, but you're making moves to demonstrate demand. Like what if Apple always had the exact number of iPhones that people wanted? What if it was so easy to just like go online, and anytime you wanted the new iPhone, you could just like go online and just get it? What would happen to their brand if that was the truth? You might say, oh, that's better business, isn't it? Isn't that better? Isn't that kinder to your customers? Like, isn't that a better practice to like always be ready, to always have enough supply for the demand? Well, then you don't get the lines outside the store. And if you don't get the lines outside the store, you don't have the people filming the lines outside the store. You don't have the social media posts that document the lines outside the store. You don't get people talking and thinking about it. Oh my God, this new thing, like maybe I want that too. I didn't even realize it, but now I want it. I don't want to miss out. These people must know something I don't know, right? And so Apple is smart, right? So it's like on purpose. On purpose, they limit supply. And on purpose, they create these launch events so that the demand can be documented easily. And that's their best marketing, isn't it? And that allows them to charge whatever they want. They can charge higher prices, more exclusive luxury prices. Because if supply is lower than demand, you can basically charge whatever you want, because if you don't buy it, someone else will. That's how economics works in business. Okay? And so that was number 4, was communication of value. I already mentioned stories are the best way to communicate value. I have other videos on stories. We'll go over them at a different time. Okay. Whew. Interesting. Okay. It's so funny, when I wrote this, I ended up covering the points before I get to them, because the next one is the number of prospects, right? I didn't even realize I was going to cover supply and demand right now. The number of prospects. Again, if you have a high number of potential clients, it's easier for you to charge whatever you want, isn't it? Isn't it easier? If you knew you had 10 people waiting to work with you, wouldn't you stop being in scarcity about your pricing? Right? And so sometimes your pricing and sometimes we don't want to sell because our price is too low. I know people, I have clients, and I've been there too, where we actually have resistance to selling because the amount of effort to deliver on the sale compared with the price are just not a good match, and then it doesn't feel easy anymore. For example, I have a client, or I'll talk about myself. I was at one time doing marketing services for people. I was running Facebook ads, editing their videos, and building simple websites for them. And so it's actually a lot of work to create and edit videos, run ads, and build websites. It's actually a lot of work. And at the time, I was not good at sales, and so I wasn't able to charge the prices that I was really worth and that my coaches were telling me I should charge. I was really charging not enough, really. And so when I would get into these situations where I could make sales, I could go do outreach, I could go do networking, I could hop on calls. I actually, in my heart, I didn't actually want to sell it because it was too hard. It just didn't feel easy. And so I had my own resistance to selling because the delivery was too much effort for the price. And so sometimes, that happens to us, where the delivery feels too hard for the price, but in order to raise the price, you have to maybe do some things that you didn't know you have to do. You have to get better at sales, you have to do some of these things. But imagine you had, 10 clients who you knew wanted to work with you. You wouldn't do those scarcity prices anymore. You would just put the prices where you wanted them to be, and you'd let people say yes or no. And then you'd get maybe fewer clients, or maybe you'd get more clients. But you do it from the right place where the delivery matched the sort of pricing. Okay, you want it to be a happy, sweet spot. Okay, number of prospects, I just talked about that with supply and demand. Momentum. For me, I love getting momentum. I personally love it, right? So that's why I talked about the staircase. I'm just gonna go, if I really need some money, or if I if I've had a little bit of a low spot, maybe I was checked out doing something else, I need to get myself back in the swing. And so I'm gonna do something to create an easy win. Momentum comes from getting easy wins. When you don't have momentum, everything's harder, right? Think about, I think about like a big heavy door, a huge like heavy iron or wooden kind of like medieval like giant door, right? And think about like, so have you ever had a door that was like hard to push open? It was just like hard to push, right? But like once you got it started, it was easy and just like, whew, think about it like that. Like to get it going from zero to moving is hard. But once it's going, it takes almost no effort at all to finish opening, right? I don't know if that's a good example. Another example would be like a giant rock, like a round boulder. To get it going, so hard, but once it's moving, you can kind of keep it going, okay? I think we understand that. So that's like us. When we have no momentum, it's a lot harder. But once you have momentum, everything's easy. And so you want to like give yourself easy wins to build momentum, so that by the time you get to like the bigger stuff, you have momentum behind you and it'll make those feel easy too. Okay, so for me, if I know that selling $1,000 items are easy for me, then I'm gonna do that before I go to 3,000. If we try something that's hard for us and we fail too many times in a row, it can be very discouraging and it can be worse. And we end up maybe feeling rejected, and we end up maybe taking a sidetrack and being like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Discouragement is a horrible thing. Discouragement is overcome with encouragement. In other words, like faith. Faith will overcome discouragement, right? Faith and setting proper expectations. Setting proper expectations and faith will help you to overcome discouragement. And being skillful with your goals so that you set small ones so you get easy wins. Because if you just sold 3 things at $1,000 and then you start to sell at $2,500 and you fail a bunch of times, you won't really get discouraged because you know, oh, well, I just did this, and so I got to figure this out. I just must need to tweak some things, right? And I can always go back to this if I have to. So you want to get momentum by going for something that feels easy for you. Whatever pricing I'm saying, these are only guidelines. We need to choose something that feels easy, right? So if selling at $500 feels easy for you, just do it a bunch of times until your momentum increases, and then you'll easily be able to take the jump to 1,000 or 1,500. And then when you do that, you'll be able to go to 2,000 or 2,500. And then when you do that, you'll be able to go to 3,000 or 3,500. That's what I did, right? I literally had 1111 as my offer, then 2,400, then 3,500, then 5,500, then 10K. That was my price. 1111, 2,400, 3,500, 5,500, 10K, 24K. Those were my prices. And before I did 1111, I had an offer for 300 and I had an offer for $11. So I got started with $11, $300, then 1111, then 2,400, then 3,500, then 5,500, then 10K, then 24K. Okay, that's what I've done so far. And why? All the reasons I've already explained on this video are the reason why. Okay, and so that was momentum. The next one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 7 is self-belief. If you have a lot of self-belief, you can kind of skip steps. If you have a lot of self-belief, you can go right from 0 to 1111, or you can go right from 0 to 3,000 maybe. Or you can go right from 1111 to 5,000, and you can skip the middle step. Or you can go from 1111 to 10,000, or whatever. Like, if you have a lot of self-belief, you can probably charge higher. Why? Because when you have self-belief in the value that you can provide, that belief is one of your communication skills that will bring other people into perceiving the value. Remember, I said pricing is based on perceived value. If you have a lot of belief that this offer works and that it's a perfect match for them and that it's easily worth this price and the value is extensive beyond the price, if you have all this belief and that you can deliver, no problem, gonna work for sure, if you have all this belief and you communicate to this person, they will believe too. They don't believe directly, they believe that you believe, and then they believe. They believe that you believe, and they trust you. If the person trusts you, and if they believe that you believe, and they can see that you love them and that you're doing the right thing, then they, by proxy, sort of by inference, by logic, they will then believe enough to take action. And so one of the ways to communicate value and to build perceived value is literally just get yourself into a higher state of belief about all the things that you're talking about. All the things. All the things such as it's better to do this 6-month program than session by session. It's better to do this 10 or 12 session package than just one at a time. Better to work with me than anyone else because of this reason, right? I can deliver results. I will be there for you. I guarantee you will get results, or I'll keep working with you till you do, right? You can do it. You're ready. You're actually in a perfect spot. This is perfect for you. I designed this just for you. Your symptoms indicate that there's a underlying cause. That's this, and I'm an expert that I can solve that. Here's the steps to solve that underlying cause, and this number of sessions and things is enough to deliver that process to you. The price is way lower than the value. If you believe all those things, and you communicate to them and they trust you, they will believe those things too. And then now their perceived value is higher. Now you can charge based on perceived value, which is higher. If you don't have a lot of self-belief, you got to work on that, and you can just practice being in a state of self-belief. All the things that you think are important beliefs for you to have to make a sale, including all the things I just mentioned, but possibly more. Just practice believing those things, and your body, your mind, your energy body will kind of shift into those beliefs. It creates a whole new energy structure, and then people can perceive that, and you'll attract people who are at similar levels of faith, okay? And they will definitely perceive it. Okay, the next one, number 8, is standards. Sometimes our pricing is based on our standards. Sometimes we have a standard like, I can't go lower than this, right? Very often, I'm able to raise my prices due to a standard, right? It's all these other things, but the final straw was the standard, the no compromising attitude. I'm not gonna go less than this. My value is too high, I cannot go lower than this. At one point, I was doing $1,200 per month to work with me. It was like a 10K offer, or $1,200 per month for 12 months, so that's $14,400. At one point, that was the offer. Then I started realizing I'm delivering so much value in the first 3 months that a person within the first 3 months, they're only paying $3,600. But I've already delivered like basically at least 10K worth of value in that time. I just can't keep charging this amount. It's hurtful to them. It's hurtful to me. I can't do it. It was a standard. I can't compromise on that anymore. And I started charging $2,000 per month for 6 months instead. And I started making even more sales. Actually, people were actually happier with that. Okay, and so standards. Or I went from, someone was gonna hire me for like $350 for like a one-time gig for like a couple hours to help with something, and I'm like, no, that's not enough. And I started selling my 11/11 group coaching program, and I made over 10K that month, right? So I said no to something that would have been a compromise. I raised my standards for my minimum viable price point to be higher. Like the value was higher, so my standard got higher, and I just stuck to it. No, this is it. This is the lowest I'll go. And then the reality came in to match my standard, which is what always happens. So if you're having struggles with, if you feel like you've been on board with a lot of what I said, even if you know that you can improve, but you're still struggling, one of the final pieces, or one of the pieces that will make the biggest difference, is stop compromising, raise your standards, and actually take action, knowing the minimum that you're able to accept. And that'll click everything that I already mentioned in place. It gives you your floor. I've already built the container for you. Now you built the bottom of the container so you can hold the energy better. The last one is your goals. Sometimes we can price things based on our goals. For example, if I'm just getting started in a new industry, my goal is to test out my offer and get a lot of students in. And my goal is to also get a lot of testimonials. So like I said, if you're beginning, you may want a bunch of new testimonials, and you may want to just bring people through your program so that you can get a better sense of how you do your own work, right? Like an alpha program or a beta program, right? It's like the first or second time that you do your program. People use the word beta all the time. They don't know what it means. Like a beta group means that you've already done it once. Alpha. First you do the alpha group to a small group of people, and then you do a beta group to a little bit bigger group of people, and maybe you charge for that. And then maybe you go and you do your next one, and you charge more and more each time. Right? And so maybe your goal is like, I need to test out my group coaching thing. I need to make sure it works. I want more I want some feedback on it. I'm not going to learn anything. I'm not going to become the best in my field if I just sit on the sidelines. I need to get more clients, right? I have this new modality I'm working on. I want to get more clients so I can really test it out. Or I just really want a bunch of testimonials right now. I'm rebuilding my website. I want a ton of testimonials. And so you might price yourself lower just to get more clients and more testimonials in the door, right? And then that becomes part of the fuel of what we've already been talking about. Now you can demonstrate value with testimonials. Now you can communicate value by telling stories. And you have a lot more belief in how good your product is because you have the time to test it and tweak things to make it better so that you could believe higher, so that they can believe higher too, so you can charge more of what it's worth. All right, and so those are the goals. Now, those are the 9 things. We had size of problem, need and urgency, demonstration of results, communication of value, number of prospects, momentum, self-belief, standards, and goals. Okay, those are the 9 things. And I'm sorry for the dog barking right now. Maybe I'll hold on. I'm gonna close the window. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Okay, and so we've covered 4 prices that I think are a really good stairway. This is what you should shoot for. Whichever one is the next one up that you haven't done yet, that's your goal. So if you've never made $1,000 offers before, that's your goal. Or if you've done that, but you've never made $2,500 offers, then that's your goal. And if you've done that, but you've never made 5K offers before, that's your goal. And if you've done that, but you've never made 10K offers before, that's your goal. And like I said, give or take 20% on this, right? So 1,000, give or take 20% is 800 to 1,200, right? Or whatever, right? It's give or take. Like you can make the pricing unique, a little bit unique. Like maybe 27 feels better than 25. Maybe 48 feels better than 5. Maybe 55 feels better than 5. Maybe 11K is better than 10. Maybe 9K or 8K is better than 10, right? You get it, right? So these are just a range. Okay, so now we have a few more prices that are interesting. And like I said, this is coming from my personal story. My first spiritual coaching offer ever that I sold successfully was at $11. And it was an 11-day challenge. So it was an 11-day challenge. It was a live challenge. And I did it on Zoom. And it was $11, okay? And so that was great because I got a lot of people in. A lot of people joined because the value was probably 100 times more. Like people, I could easily now, I could sell that same thing at $1,100, at $11.11. I could literally put an $11.11 price tag on that 11-day challenge. I would have spaced it out a bit more. That's the other thing. Just Little side note here, if you want to raise your prices, just simply space out the work a little bit more, right? So this is how I realized it. I did an 11-day challenge. Every day was a 90-minute Zoom call with me where I taught something. They were teaching classes. It wasn't a lot of Q&A and coaching. It was a lot of me teaching. And, for 11-day challenge, people are like, okay, $11, that feels good, right? That feels about right, right? But there was no room to integrate in between sessions. And so what if I had made this an 11-week challenge? What if I had spaced out 1 week in between each session? It would have actually been higher value because I would have created a container for them to integrate within. We would have had a community, right? They would rest in between sessions, they would process it during the week, and they'd come back to the next one in a better place, and we can go and take the next step. So if I had just put 1 week in between each session instead of 1 day in between each session, it would have been a lot higher value, but how much do you expect to pay for an 11-week program, right? That's basically a 3-month program. That, people pay $11.11 for that. They might pay $3,000 for that. I could have literally charged $1,100 or $3,000 or $3,300, for this offer if I had just spaced out the sessions more. Another thing I realized is I used to do packages for $2,400, and I would give 10 sessions. And I usually would include like a couple bonus sessions. So like essentially 12 sessions. And if I did those 12 sessions within 6 weeks, right? That's pretty fast. There's not a lot of integration time. And it was good that I was charging $2,400 because that's what it was worth. And sometimes we would take 12 weeks to do the 12 sessions. And again, pretty standard. But what I decided to do was actually take my 12 sessions, space it out over 6 months, give them 2 weeks of integration time, and give them a weekly group and community for them to check in with. So there was like a live Zoom group that people could come to that gave them the heartbeat, that gave them the consistency. And then we had these 12 acupuncture points during the 6 months that were like, these were the one-to-one sessions. That's how I think of it, right? Your groups are your heartbeat. It's what brings everyone together. It's what unites everyone in your program. And if you offer one-to-ones during the space of a program, each one-to-one is an acupuncture point that you have in the journey that sort of like does something special and specific for them to help them get to the result, okay? When I started spreading out more, now it's a 6-month program. Instead of a 12-week program, I charge a lot more for that, right? I got my price to $5,500 by doing it that way. And then I got it to $12,000 from doing it that way. Okay, so kind of a cool pricing strategy, but just to say, so $11, and then my next one was about $300, right? So I did $11,300, and then $11,11, but there's a couple in between. So the others in between are, first of all, there's free. You can do things for free. It's okay. You're not going to die by doing things for free. No one's going to remember you as the freebie person. But doing something for free and documenting some results of your free stuff and proving that there's demand for your free stuff and winning some fans who love your free stuff, then when you start offering paid stuff, it's going to come with a higher perception of value because you'll be able to showcase demand. People who didn't get in on the free stuff might still want to work with you, and now you charge $30 or $100, they're going to maybe want that. You can showcase that you have testimonials. The people who've already worked with you might comment and say, wow, I loved working with you. This is a great offer, right? So it will build your perception of value. This is what I mean by a staircase. It builds momentum. Give yourself an easy win. Do something for free. Document results. Showcase that you have demand. And then you can it might give you another story. Maybe one of those free clients crushes it and gets great results. Now you have a story. That story might be worth $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 to you. Like literally by telling that story of a free client, you might be able to sell an enormous amount of stuff. That's what I did, right? I worked with a coach and me and him did a 50-50 offer. So it wasn't free because we split all the profits that we made together. but it kind of was free because I didn't charge him anything and I did a lot of work. But we had such good results that I ended up telling that story, and then I ended up selling hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of programs because of that story. I also had another story of someone that I genuinely did help for free, completely for free. She was a massage therapist. We crushed it. She got like 30 booked appointments in one day of advertising, and she crushed it. And I helped her for free, but how much did that story, right? I just tell that story and I get people who are like, I want that, I want that, I want that, right? If I'm like, how much would, if I could get you 30 to 60 booked appointments on your calendar in just a short time of advertising, how much would that be worth to you? Well, whatever that is, hey, I can do that. Now I have self-belief I can do that, but then I also have a story, builds perceived value, now they see it, and now they're willing to pay $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 for that service. And all I did was help someone for free, get a good story, document results, and it helps my own self-belief too. And it gives me momentum. Okay, so free is great. So the next one is around $10. You can do this for like free lead magnets. These are not just for like a core program. This could be for a workshop, could be for a one-to-one call, could be for a workbook or an ebook. It could be for, a challenge, anything like this, right? Like an audio activation, right? Anything, a course, a video, right? Free, $10, $30, $100, $300. Those are the 5 levels, right? So free, 10, 30, 100, 300, 5. Free, 10, 30, 100, 300. So it goes in ones and threes. That's like how business operates, is ones and threes, okay? So generally. Okay, so you just pick whatever you want, right? Use what I shared to pick not just the pricing of your actual main offer, but if your main offer is around $1,000 or more, you do not want to just go right for that sale. You want to set up something as a buying environment that people can access for one of these other prices, okay? And so, for example, if you're offering a $1,000 item, you may want to do a free workshop in order to sell it, or a free masterclass that's a pre-recorded video on a page, right? Or you may want to have a podcast where you give free value and then you pitch your offer. Or you may invite people to a live event that's free or $10 or $30. And then at the live event, you pitch the $1,000 thing. So the 4 main prices, $1,000, $2,500, $5K, $10K, those 4 things are like for your core offer, right? If you're gonna do them, you wanna create a introductory offer. The easiest way, just like, don't fight this, make it easy for yourself, make it free. The easiest way is just to make a free introductory offer, but make the free introductory offer infused with the sales process for the next thing. And so a free workshop is great because while you're on live, you can deliver some value and then you can sell people the next step, right? Or a one-to-one call. A free one-to-one call where I help you with this. It's a mini activation session. It's a mini assessment. It's a mini reading or clearing session, right? You invite them to a free call, framed as a mini session. Yes, you give them some value. And then while you're there, might as well see if they're a good fit and sell them the next step for the $1,000, the $3,000, the $10,000, $5,000, whatever dollar offer. Okay, and so these 5 initial prices of free, 10, 30, 100, 300 generally are going to be for your front end offers that are not your main offer. And the sales process for your main offer should be infused within those, right? So that people get what they came for and paid for, but they also get an invitation to work with you, but also some sort of message. They get the messaging for the next offer. Like they learn why it's helpful, and they are able to figure out either, by listening to you or with your questions, they're able to figure out if they're even the right fit for the next offer. It's a qualifier. So these five, the front end offer is a qualifier. It attracts people who could be a good fit for your main offer. And if it looks like for everyone who is, you give a message to them to take the next step, and you invite them like that. Okay, and if you are just getting started and you're not that experienced and the idea of selling $1,000 is scary, then you could make your main offer like a micro version of your main offer. You can make that one of these other prices such as $100, $300, free, $10, $30. You can decide, right? There's some flexibility there. You could do 600, you could do 500, you could do 777, whatever. Like, if you're going to be discounting your main offer, just choose a number where you think people are going to say yes. Choose the highest number that you feel comfortable with, that you think people will say yes to. That's it. So maybe that's 777, maybe that's 333, maybe that's 444, maybe that's 1200, maybe that's 10K. Whatever that is, it's the highest number that you feel comfortable with that you think someone's going to say yes. And you just do that offer. And then when you get some yeses, then you need to reconsider to figure out, do I want to keep doing this or do I want to tweak something? You can tweak something by either removing some of the one-to-one sessions, but you don't want to do that if they're needed to get results. It's better to just raise your price. You don't want to take away something that would limit results. The most important thing in business is that you make promises and you follow through. That's what business is. You make promises, you follow through, and people pay you for those promises and they receive what they were promised. That's it, right? That's how business works. And so you must be able to do that at the basic level. So don't take away items that are helping to produce the result. It's better to just charge more of what it's worth. That's the abundance mind. That's how scarcity mindset ruins your business. It's because it makes us either remove things that are necessary to get the result, or we price ourselves so low that we just cannot over-deliver, or that we attract people who are just not in a mindset where they could even get a result. Right? If I charge $100 for business coaching, who am I going to attract with that? People who, if it's $100 for like a full program, I'm going to attract people who come to 1 or 2 sessions and you never see them again. That might ruin my confidence, won't it? Or end up having, for some people, I'm going to have to deliver a lot on that and I get burned out, and then they still don't get results because they're just not the kind of person who's going to get results at all anyway, at least right now. And then I feel not confident, and then that ruins all these things that I talked about. The self-belief is tanked. The momentum is tanked. Then I can't communicate value. Then I can't demonstrate results. Then I shrink the size of the problem I'm solving. My own needed urgency goes up. My standards are low. Do you see how it ruins it, right? Scarcity mindset ruins your business. You're better off not selling with scarcity than you are doing nothing. It's actually better to do nothing than to sell with scarcity, because scarcity, even if it does work, we put ourselves in a bad position where we've attracted the wrong kind of client. We're not making enough to live on anyway. We have to deliver so much that it is not easy anymore. The person doesn't get good results. We are still in scarcity because we need more money anyway. And it ruins our self-belief that we actually can create impact. Because the most actually important indicator, what is the highest predictive factor in a client result? What do you think when the client joins a program? What do you think it is that is the biggest predictive indicator? Meaning the presence of it is, if they have it, they're very likely to get a result. And if they don't have it, they're very unlikely to get a result. What do you think that is? I'm going to give you, is it the price point of the thing? Is it what do you think? It's the starting point of the client. It's where the client is already at when they join. How much experience do they have? What is their mindset? How much action do they take? What is that? What is their client? Where is they at? Where are they at? If a client is an empowered kind of person, some people are going to get results no matter what they do. even without you, they get results. So if they get 1 or 2 little nuggets from you, they're happy because they were already going to get results anyway. Some people are very stuck and they're just not going to get a result right now unless something big changes. That's a fact. In any area, that is a fact, right? And so some people are very much in victim mindset. Some people are very stuck. They're very ill. Some people are just completely not the right fit at all to work with us. And so if you attract them, it could ruin your confidence, right? And then that limits your ability to grow and scale and sell more. So it's very important to sort of like remove all scarcity so you can actually price yourself in a way that feels good where you want to be, right? And then you end up attracting people who are ready for that type of transformation. And they're the ones who like a little bit effortlessly will get results. There's still a process, but they're happy to apply the process and to be part of the process. And then they will get results, okay? And so by pricing yourself too low, you will generally attract people who are not ready. And that is bad for everyone. Okay, and so hopefully this is clear. Those are the 9 prices, which is free, 10, 30, 100, 300, 1K, 2,500, 5K, 10K, and then the 9 things to consider: size of problem, need, urgency, demonstration of results, communication of value, number of prospects, momentum, self-belief, standards, and goals. Okay, I hope this video is helpful for you to make decisions about your pricing. Please consider the main stairway having 4 steps: 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, 10,000. Try to be there. If you've only made one of any of those 4, just do it again a few times. And then once you have, or if it's been a while, just do it again, get some momentum, get some self-belief, and then take the next step. And then do that a few times, at least, 3 to 5 times, take the next step. Do the next one 3 to 5 times, take the next step. Okay? And if you're not there yet, you can start lower at one of these other ones, 300, 100 for something. Doesn't have to be your main offer, but it could be a version of your main offer. If you are in the mood to like discount your stuff because you're looking for testimonials and more experience delivering, just don't make the scope of work too great. Just don't make it take too much time. The main problem people take is like, they might do a free or low-cost program to get testimonials and results and to learn their own methods and get practice. But if you make that a 3-month thing, then you're kind of guaranteeing that you're not going to make any big jumps in your business for at least 3 months, because then you have to process those results and make tweaks. Make it very short. If you're going to give free and low price stuff, like make it as short as you can, and you can make it more intense too. And you can tell people this is going to be a little bit intensive. We're going to take the 3-month program, but we're going to squish it into just, 6 weeks or just 4 weeks, right? Make it as short as you possibly can. 6 weeks max. If you're just testing something, 6 weeks max, because you need to like do it, and then you need to process the results, and then you need to like be able to like make enough empowered choices to then take the next step. You don't want that to drag on. 6 weeks max, I promise you. Right? Shorter might even be better. That's if you're testing, okay? And you could go shorter than that. You could just do 2 weeks. You can do an intensive 2-week program. Hey, look, this is like a month of working with me. We're going to condense it into 2 weeks. Who wants this intensive program at a ridiculous discount? Like, you'll get some people, right? And however many people you get, you want to try to showcase that demand is higher than supply. And so it's sometimes useful to not put the pricing in the post so that you attract people who are like, yes, so that it looks like you have more demand, because then you can make your pricing better than what it would have been, and the perceived value will be higher, which is good for impact, income, and ease, like I said. All right, hopefully this is helpful for you. Please do go apply it. Watch this again, take notes on this video, and share it with people if you want to, and at least apply it for yourself with energy. Ask me any questions that you wish. I can't wait to help you. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.